The mountain rises like a sentinel against the morning mist. Haruto, young, fierce and impatient, climbs its winding paths carrying the weight of ambition. His hands are skilled, his strikes precise, yet his mind is scattered, restless, seeking victory in every swing, yet never finding peace. The air is cold, heavy with silence, and here at Master Takeda's secluded dojo, the rules are different. Haruto grips his sword eager to prove himself, but Takeda forbids combat. Instead, he orders stillness, meditation, and observation. Every movement, every thought, every breath must be deliberate. Here begins the crucible. A warrior is forged not in battle against others, but in confrontation with himself. The ancient Musashi system teaches that mastery is not learned, it is awakened. Through patience, discipline, and silent struggle, the mind becomes unbreakable, the spirit untouchable. This is the path of the true samurai, where fear is met without flinching, where ego dissolves, and where presence transforms ordinary skill into unshakable mastery. In the coming chapters, Haruto will face fear, ego, distraction, and emptiness. Each test will strip away illusions, revealing the inner warrior who cannot be swayed by chaos. This is the story of forging the unshakable mind. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and share, so I can keep bringing you great content. Chapter 1. The Restless Blade. Haruto's breaths are quick, his pulse fast, yet his mind races faster than his movements. He steps into Master Takeda's secluded mountain dojo, brimming with skill and confidence in his sword, believing strength alone will grant mastery. But Takeda, whose silence carries depth and authority, issues a clear command. From today, you will not touch your sword. Your true weapon is stillness, patience, and awareness. Haruto's eyes widen, confusion and frustration flooding him. He is accustomed to action, fast, forceful, immediate. Yet here stillness is demanded. Takeda continues. Before you act, understand. Before you strike, observe. Before you move, feel. Hours pass as Haruto is given simple, repetitive tasks. Turning a stone just so, feeling each breath fully, placing each step with intention. His mind rebels, leaping ahead. I can do more. I should do more. I must achieve more. Frustration coils inside him like a river dammed. Takeda watches silently. Until your heartbeat and breath are aligned, your hands cannot wield true power. Your mind must master itself before technique can be mastered. At night, Haruto sits in meditation. Moonlight spills over the stones, casting shadows over his hands. Thoughts arise, pride, impatience, desire for recognition, but gradually a realization emerges. True strength is internal. Each deliberate breath, each mindful step, each fully felt moment is a blade sharper than steel. Ikijio Zanmai's first lesson becomes clear. Be fully present in one action. Immerse yourself completely, moment by moment. The restless blade trembles, not from opponents, but from the awareness that the fiercest battles are within. Haruto closes his eyes, then opens them, glimpsing a spark amid his frustration, a small clarity, a hint of control. Takeda's words echo. When mind and body are one, the greatest battle is already won. The first day ends in silence. Haruto has not drawn his sword, yet he has gained something far more powerful. A meeting with his own self, the first step on the path of Ikijio Zanmai. The restless blade has begun its journey toward mastery. Dawn casts a pale light across the mountain, revealing the still waters of the mirror of reflection. Takeda leads Haruto to its edge, his steps deliberate, quiet, yet full of authority. The pond seems ordinary at first glance, clear water, smooth stones, the faint ripple of wind. But Takeda stops and gestures. Look, he commands. The water does not show your face. It reveals your mind. Haruto peers into the pond. At first, he sees only his reflection. Eyes wide, hands tensed, shoulders rigid. But slowly, the surface shifts, revealing shadows beneath the confident exterior. Fear disguised as pride, doubt hidden behind ambition, the restless craving for recognition. A shiver passes through him. He wants to turn away, yet something within him compels observation. Takeda remains silent, letting the lesson unfold. A fear, he finally says, is not your enemy. It is your compass. It points to the unmastered, the unseen, the unacknowledged within yourself. Haruto bows slightly, attempting humility, but his mind protests. He is used to conquering opponents, not his own reflection. Stillness, he realizes, is a far greater challenge than any duel. For hours, Takeda guides him through exercises of awareness, breath control, posture alignment, and the subtle act of noticing each flicker of thought without reacting. Haruto begins to see how often he escapes into distraction, planning, judging, worrying. The water reflects not just fear, but his habitual flight from presence. This, Takeda explains, is ikijozamai in practice. One action, fully observed. One thought, fully witnessed. Your mind, undivided, becomes your strongest weapon. Haruto kneels, letting the silence settle around him. Waves of emotion rise. Humiliation, impatience, anger at his own weakness. Yet he does not act. He does not strike, shout, or flee. Instead, he breathes. He watches. The fear, once towering and oppressive, begins to shrink, its edges dissolving under the light of attention. He realizes something profound. Distraction is born of avoidance. Each restless impulse, each fragmented thought, each desire to do or achieve is an attempt to flee from fear. But when faced openly, fear loses its power. Observation itself is mastery. Hours turn into an entire day of contemplation. Haruto's reflection no longer twists with anxiety, but mirrors a calm curiosity. Even his breathing aligns with the rhythm of the pond, slow, deliberate, anchored. The world outside feels quieter, sharper, clearer. He senses the first subtle shift, strength arising not from action, but from stillness, from presence fully claimed. Takeda kneels beside him as evening falls. Your sword, he says softly, is only an extension of your awareness. The warrior who cannot master fear within is blind to the world around him. True power begins here, at the edge of your own mind. Haruto remains by the water, watching as his reflection shifts and changes, no longer a mirror of restlessness, but a canvas of potential. Patience, presence, and courage merge. The pond becomes a teacher, the fear a guide, and the silence a forge. For the first time, Haruto senses a path forward, one not measured by skill or victories, but by clarity, insight, and the relentless cultivation of attention. The mirror of fear has revealed both weakness and opportunity, and in its quiet challenge, he begins to understand the immense power of focused presence. The morning sun strikes the dojo courtyard with a soft, golden light, yet Haruto feels no warmth in his heart. Yesterday's revelations at the mirror of fear have unsettled him, leaving a subtle ache of self-awareness he has never known. Takeda observes silently as Haruto moves, his every motion measured, yet still tinged with restlessness. Today, the master's lesson will challenge more than fear. It will confront pride itself. Begin, Takeda commands, pointing to the stack of firewood, one log at a time. No haste, no judgment, only the act itself. Haruto's shoulders tighten. Chopping wood feels trivial compared to the swordsmanship he has trained in since childhood. In his mind, this is menial work, beneath his skill. Yet Takeda's gaze is unwavering, and the air of the dojo feels charged with expectation. With a slow exhale, he lifts the axe. The first strike lands with a dull, resonant thud. One log. One swing. The repetition is punishing in its simplicity. Hours pass. Sweat beads on his forehead, blisters form on his palms. Each strike is identical, yet his mind protests. Why now? Why not combat? His ego whispers of glory and recognition of skill wasted on the mundane. Takeda does not answer, he merely watches. The lesson is not given in words, but in silence, in the meticulous presence demanded by each single task. Gradually, Haruto notices something strange. His mind, once restless and scattered, begins to quiet, if only slightly. The act of focusing entirely on one swing, one breath, one log, begins to dissolve the friction between desire and action. He feels the pulse of his body, the flow of energy through his arms and core. Each cut becomes meditation. Each pause between swings is a rhythm, a silent dialogue with the present moment. Later, Takeda assigns him more tasks: sweeping the courtyard, carrying water from the stream, tending the gardens, serving younger students. Each task, simple yet deliberate, reinforces the principle of mu no kakuro, the empty heart. Actions are performed not for recognition, reward, or progress, but for the purity of presence in the moment. Haruto's pride flares repeatedly. He stumbles while carrying water, spilling some along the stone path. He resents bowing before novices, whom he considers inexperienced. Yet, Takeda's method is relentless. With every act, the lesson deepens. Mastery is not demonstrated through power or skill, but through humility, focus, and unwavering attention to the present. As the day unfolds, Haruto begins to perceive the subtle transformation taking place. Each repetitive task strips away layers of ego, revealing a clarity previously hidden beneath ambition and haste. He notices how his mind resists the simplicity. How the desire for recognition poisons awareness. In these small, deliberate acts, he confronts the illusions of superiority that have guided his life. By evening, Haruto's body is weary, yet his mind feels anchored in a way it never has before. The axe, the broom, the water bucket, they are no longer instruments of labor, but vehicles of presence. He feels an alignment of body, mind, and spirit that hints at the profound potential of disciplined, humble practice. The empty heart is not emptiness. It is full attention, undistracted and unspoiled by ego. Takeda approaches as the sun dips behind the mountain. "How do you see now?" he asks quietly. His strength is cultivated not by showing, but by being. Humility is the foundation of unshakable focus. Pride divides attention. Humility unites it. Haruto bows deeply, understanding that this lesson surpasses physical skill. He begins to realize that every swing of the axe, every careful step, every act of service is an exercise in presence. Mastery is refined through patience, repetition, and surrender to the moment. The humbling labor awakens a subtle joy. There is no applause, no medal, no audience. Yet a power arises quietly, steadily, within, a force invisible to the eyes, yet undeniable to the spirit. He senses that every great warrior, every master of craft, has passed through this crucible of humility, learning to let presence dictate action rather than ego. As night falls, Haruto kneels in the courtyard, reflecting on the day. He recognizes the truth. The pursuit of mastery is not about complexity, speed, or acclaim. It is about returning, again and again, to the simple act performed fully, deliberately, and with an undivided mind. The lessons of Mu no Kokoro and Ikijio Zamai are inseparable. The one feeds the other, creating a foundation upon which all skill and strength are built. The sense of calm settles over him, deeper than any he has known. Pride has loosened its grip, and in its place rises patience, focus, and a quiet satisfaction in the act itself. Haruto understands that the path to unshakable strength is forged not in dramatic victories, but in these small, disciplined acts of humility. The storm arrived like a living thing, a roaring beast tearing through the mountainside. Rain lashed the stone paths and lightning cut the sky in jagged slashes, illuminating the dojo with cold, white fire. Haruto stood before Master Takeda shivering, not from the wind, but from anticipation. Tonight would be unlike any previous trial. Tonight, he would confront the darkness he had long avoided, the unmastered impulses, regrets, and fears buried deep within. "You will sit alone in the Hall of Severing," Takeda said, his voice calm yet commanding, echoing over the storm. "I know, that's no action, only presence, only witness." Haruto swallowed, the pit of his stomach tightening. He had faced physical trials, enduring pain and exhaustion, yet this complete stillness felt infinitely more terrifying. He followed Takeda along the slippery path, the wind whipping around them like a chorus of ancestral voices. Inside the hall, stone walls rose high, bare and unforgiving. A single mat lay in the center, waiting for him. As Takeda departed, leaving him in silence, Haruto lowered himself to the mat. The first minutes were calm. He breathed deliberately, noting the rhythm of his heart, the steady pulse in his temples. Then the mind began its assault. Memories of failure surfaced, his clumsy mistakes in training, moments of cowardice in previous battle. Each recollection carried the weight of shame. Haruto's chest tightened. Fear slithered upward. Fear of inadequacy, fear of being exposed, fear that he would never be worthy of mastery. He wanted to flee, to seek comfort, to distract himself with movement, with action, with anything that would shift focus away from this merciless confrontation. But the hall would not allow escape. The storm outside roared louder, echoing the tempest within. Takeda's teachings whispered in his memory. Presence, observation, surrender. Haruto closed his eyes and began naming each emotion, observing without judgment. Shame, anger, restlessness, desire for recognition, all arose like waves. Each pulse of fear he met with breath, letting it move through him rather than consuming him. With every minute, the raw edges of panic dulled. The night stretched endlessly, yet he remained, anchored by attention to the present. Time lost meaning. Thoughts came and went like shadows on stone. Impulses to act, to speak, to escape, challenged him at every turn. Yet with every breath, Haruto felt a subtle transformation. The mind that had been divided and restless began to unify. The fear of emptiness lessened. He felt his presence extend through the hall, filling the space, aligning with the pulse of the storm outside. By the darkest hour, he was exhausted, yet lucid. The hall no longer felt oppressive. It had become a crucible refining his spirit. Haruto realized that every fight he had ever feared, the rival, the opponent, the trial, was a reflection of the battles within. By confronting the shadows of his own mind, he had begun to dissolve their power. As dawn approached, the storm began to ebb. Haruto opened his eyes to the soft, pale light filtering through the hall's narrow windows. He rose slowly, muscles stiff but spirit unburdened. The weight of hidden fears, the impulses that had once commanded him, were no longer shackles. The mind, once fragmented, now moved with clarity. He understood that the fiercest battle a warrior faces is the one within, and that courage is measured not in outward victories, but in the endurance of inner storms. Haruto stepped outside, feeling the wet stone beneath his feet, the crisp air against his face. Each step was deliberate, grounded, an echo of the stillness he had cultivated inside. The night had tested him fully, stripping away distraction, revealing the core of presence. The invisible strength, the alignment of mind, body, and spirit was no longer an abstract principle. He carried it within him, anchored and unshakable. The Hall of Severing had proven its ancient truth. Mastery requires fearless confrontation with the self. Only by facing the emptiness, the fear, the shame, and the unacknowledged desire could a warrior's mind become unbreakable. Haruto had endured the night, and in that endurance, he discovered clarity, calm, and the profound peace of presence. The morning after the night in the Hall of Severing, the mountain air felt different to Haruto. Every gust of wind, every rustle of leaves, even the distant cry of a hawk carried clarity. His body moved with a measured calm that had been absent before. Every step seemed intentional, each breath a tether to the present. The storm had stripped away his distractions, leaving only the core of focus that Master Takeda had sought to cultivate. Today, training would no longer be about raw strength, speed, or force. It would be about integrating presence into every movement. Takeda stood on the dojo veranda, observing. "The night tested your courage, Haruto," he said softly, voice carried on the crisp breeze. "And now you must let the mind and body converge. Skill without stillness is wild. Stillness without skill is hollow. Learn to act without agitation, to move without distraction." Haruto nodded, feeling the resonance of those words in his bones. He picked up his wooden sword, a familiar weight now transformed by intention. Each strike was deliberate, each step grounded. Where once his movements had been fragmented, chasing outcomes or recognition, now they flowed with continuity, as if the air itself guided him. With every swing, he felt the union of mind, body, and spirit. Every motion a meditation, every response calibrated. The exercises Takeda assigned were deceptively simple, cutting through targets, balancing on narrow beams, shifting stance with minimal effort. But the challenge was internal. Every moment demanded attention. Every movement required presence. The temptation to rush, to force speed or power, lingered like an old companion, whispering impatience. Haruto caught himself, breathed, and returned to the flow. The ancient principle of Ikaji-ozami, the focus on one act with total absorption, revealed itself not as technique, but as a living state of being. He practiced for hours, yet time seemed to stretch and bend. Awareness sharpened his perception. A leaf falling, a bird landing, the subtle tremor in the bamboo. In combat drills with fellow students, Haruto noticed the slightest shift in posture, the minute tension in their grip, anticipating action without thought. Effort seemed to vanish. What remained was precision, clarity, and an effortless strength that radiated from centered presence. Muscles, mind, and spirit operated as a single instrument, responding not reactively but harmoniously, every action flowing naturally from the moment. During meditation breaks, Haruto reflected on the lessons of the Hall of Severing. The fear, the shame, the inner chaos. Each had been a teacher. Now those experiences informed his movements, giving weight to silence, purpose to stillness, and power to attention. Where once he had chased mastery externally, seeking applause or recognition, he now understood that true skill manifests quietly, within the mind and body fully aligned. Takeda observed silently, nodding occasionally. "You see now, Haruto," he said at one point, "that the unshakable mind is not separate from action. The sword follows the stillness, the hand mirrors the calm. When presence governs movement, mastery is no longer something you attain, it becomes something you are." Haruto trained deep into the afternoon. Every swing, every step, every breath infused with awareness. He felt the restless impulses of the past, impatience, doubt, ego. soften and retreat. Strength no longer meant exertion. It meant clarity. Power no longer meant force. It meant alignment. He experienced the synthesis of technique and consciousness. The sword became an extension of thought, yet thought no longer interfered. The body moved, yet it moved through the mind rather than by it. By evening, Haruto stood at the edge of the training field, watching the sun dip behind the peaks. He felt no exhaustion, only quiet energy, a deep resonance that pulsed through him. This was the essence of mastery and stillness, the ability to act with precision, power, and calm, regardless of circumstance. The lessons of fear, ego, and distraction had been internalized. The restless blade had been tempered into a focused instrument, wielded not by impulse, but by deliberate, attentive presence. Every action from this moment onward would carry the imprint of this training: calm focus, measured response, and unshakable awareness. The mountain had forged not just a skilled warrior, but a conscious one, where mind and body operated in perfect harmony. Mastery was no longer an external pursuit, but an internal state, quiet, potent, and absolute. The morning air on the mountain was crisp and still, carrying a quiet promise. Haruto packed his belongings, the weight of the journey he had undertaken settling into his bones. Today he would leave the dojo, descend into the world below, and face life beyond the sanctuary of Master Takeda's guidance. No ceremony awaited him, no accolades or applause. The mountain had been a crucible shaping him in silence, and now the final test was not in combat or technique. It was in carrying the lessons into the ordinary, chaotic flow of the world. Takeda approached, his steps measured, voice calm yet commanding. "The world rarely honors mastery as we have practiced it, Haruto," he said. "A few will notice your focus, your discipline, the alignment of your mind and body. True strength is invisible. You carry it not to impress, but to act with clarity and presence in every circumstance." Haruto bowed, understanding the depth of these words. Recognition was irrelevant. The measure of mastery was internal, unseen, and absolute. As they descended the mountain path, the world gradually emerged. Villages stirring with daily labor, merchants calling across the streets, children laughing in the distance. In the past, such distractions might have fractured Haruto's attention. Now he moved deliberately, his mind anchored in the present, aware of each sound, each movement, yet undisturbed by them. The principles of the Musashi system, awareness, humility, focus, and stillness, were not just lessons. They were woven into the very fabric of his being. Passing a small bridge, Haruto noticed a merchant struggling with a heavy load. In the past, he might have ignored it or acted impulsively. Now, with calm presence, he offered help, balancing the weight carefully, ensuring the safety of both himself and the merchant. Each gesture was conscious, deliberate, and free of ego. Mastery, he realized, was expressed in such simple acts: attention, patience, and integrity in even the smallest moments. Later, as he navigated the crowded streets of a nearby village, a commotion erupted, a scuffle between two townsmen over a minor dispute. Instinctively, Haruto approached, not with aggression, but with measured awareness. He observed the tension, noticed the subtle shifts in posture, the quickening of breath, the micro-expressions that revealed intent. With a calm voice and deliberate movement, he intervened, guiding the combatants apart without force. The scene resolved peacefully, almost unnoticed by the crowd, yet perfectly illustrating the power of the unshakable mind. Throughout the day, Haruto reflected on every lesson learned in the dojo. The restless blade, the fear mirrored in the pond, the humility forged in menial tasks, the night of severing, and the mastery in stillness. All had coalesced into an invisible strength. He understood now that mastery is not a spectacle, nor is it proven in victories over others. It is lived quietly, in thought, action, and presence. The world may never see it, yet it shapes every interaction, every decision, and every movement. Haruto's movements became deliberate in all aspects. He ate mindfully, spoke thoughtfully, and walked with awareness. Each encounter, each choice was an exercise in presence. The ego's old cravings for recognition or dominance no longer disturbed him. They were simply observed and released. Fear no longer dictated action. Distraction was met with focus. And every act, however small, was imbued with the quiet power of disciplined attention. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, Haruto paused at the edge of a field, watching farmers tend their crops. The wind whispered through the tall grasses, carrying a subtle reminder of the mountain, of Master Takeda, and of the lessons etched into his spirit. He realized that the greatest victories are not heralded by applause or visible trophies. They are internal, quiet, and absolute. Mastery is invisible, yet its influence is undeniable, shaping thought, action, and life itself. Haruto descended fully into the world beyond the mountain, not as a hero seeking recognition, but as a man whose mind, body, and spirit had been forged into unshakable unity. Every challenge, every interaction, every decision would now carry the mark of true mastery: presence, clarity, discipline, and courage. The invisible victory was complete. The path of the samurai had become the path of life itself. The mind undivided is unshakable. Mastery arises not from defeating others, but from conquering the self through presence, discipline, and courage.